So, how does a 60-year-old folk song become the anthem for a brand new rebellion? Today, we're diving into a global movement that's finding its voice in some pretty unexpected places.
Yeah, you know that line. Of course you do. It's from The Sound of Silence, right? That quiet, kind of sad acoustic song from way back in 1964. But lately, it's been showing up in a totally different context, blasting through city streets with this raw, aggressive, and frankly, angry new voice.
So what gives? Why this song right now? Well, to really get it, we've got to look at the people who are singing it, and more importantly, what they're so angry about.
Turns out, you'll hear this song at protests for a movement called No Kings. And this movement, well, it really shines a spotlight on this massive split in the country. We're talking about two sides that seem to be living in completely different realities.
On one side, you have the official story, the view from the top. In his State of the Union address, President Trump painted this picture of a nation that is bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before.
But yeah, out on the streets, it is a completely different story. Protesters are out there describing a country led by what they see as an authoritarian administration. It's a total rejection of that official narrative.
And you gotta love the protest signs, right? They're just so direct. They're using humor and history to get their point across. Stuff like, no kings since 1776, or, my personal favorite, I've seen better cabinets at IKEA. I mean, come on, that's more than a slogan. That's a direct challenge to the whole system.
But here's the thing, this No Kings movement, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's actually just one piece of a much, much bigger global puzzle. All over the world, a new generation is rising up, and you're seeing some really fascinating patterns emerge. And researchers actually have a name for this whole thing: Gen Z protests. We're seeing it everywhere, from Kenya to Peru. Young people are hitting the streets, and it's not usually about one single political party. It's this shared anger, this fury at what they see as corrupt elites who are just looking out for themselves. And these movements are almost always super tech-savvy and often don't have one single leader.
And let me tell you, governments are definitely paying attention. There's some incredible research from Erica Chenoweth at Harvard that shows this wild connection between how old protesters are and whether their movements actually, work. Just take a look at these numbers.
So get this, when young people make up more than half the folks on the front lines, what they call extensive participation, the success rate for that whole nonviolent campaign jumps to 56%. 56%. So this isn't just about young people showing up. They're a huge indicator of whether a movement will actually succeed.
And this is where it gets really wild and kind of cool. You want to see how connected this all is? Protesters from Madagascar all the way to Peru have started using the flag of the Straw Hat Pirates from the Japanese manga One Piece. It's become this shared global symbol for liberation from corrupt leaders. Talk about digital culture fueling real-world action.
So, okay, a generation rising up, fighting corruption, using manga as a symbol. And that brings us right back to where we started, back to that song. Because now, with all this context, it starts to make a lot more sense how The Sound of Silence became their soundtrack.
So how exactly did a quiet little folk song become this roar of defiance? Well, the answer is a 2015 cover by the metal band Disturbed. They took the original's gentle, somber feel and just injected it with these raw, powerful, angry vocals. They basically transformed a song about quiet desperation into a full-on anthem that just perfectly channels the frustration of this new generation.
It's a perfect example of how powerful art can be in a movement like this, right? A song, a shared image from a comic book, a really clever sign. It does all this crucial stuff. It creates this deep emotional connection. It gives people memorable symbols to rally around. It helps explain really complex ideas in a simple way. And maybe most importantly, it helps build a real sense of shared identity for everyone standing out there together.
So you've got the powerful song, the shared symbols, an entire generation finding its voice. But what happens when the music stops and the protests end? Because history shows us that, getting rid of one leader is one thing. Actually changing the system, that's a whole different ballgame.
And trust me, the road ahead is not easy. Research points to some major hurdles. For one thing, these youth-led movements tend to face way harsher crackdowns from the state. Plus, that leaderless structure that's so great for getting people out on the streets, it can make it really tough to actually sit down and negotiate with the people in power. And even if they win, even if they get a leader to step down, there's no guarantee that things will actually get better. There's always the risk that the old guard just shuffles some chairs around and pushes the young activists aside. So that's the big question, isn't it? Gen Z has proven they can shake the streets, that they can make their voices heard loud and clear. But what happens next? What happens when they try to bring that same energy, that same powerful voice, not just to the protest line, but to the voting booth? That could be the real test.